yeah, somebody. It's pretty funny. It's meant to be tongue in cheek. There's,
I'm going to mute you guys a second.
oh.
Okay, everything's on. Hey, Mr. Schuster?
Is he muted?
Yeah, he's muted.
There, now I'm unmuted.
Did you get the Zoom information?
Did I get what?
The Zoom information? For
I did, thanks. Yeah, it goes to my junk email folder instead of my Sleepy Hollow folder, so I found it.
Okay. I don't take that personally.
I was just gonna say, you're just junk, John.
I've been talking to my wife.
But I'll try to fix that. I did try to fix that. I'll see next time if it gets directed to the right place.
Somebody in the car.
We're currently recording, by the way, and we're on YouTube. I like the new headset, Mr. Schuster.
You know, it works a lot better, especially for Hampshire. The room is bigger and they did a new sound system, but it works much better when I have the headphones on.
Well, you look like a young Joe Nemec in the previous guy. Oh, did that get recorded?
I thought maybe he was going to get into podcasting. That looks like a very professional setup there, Mark.
Either that or he's a gamer.
I feel like I'm ready for takeoff.
Yeah.
Give me the green light, tower.
Do this.
John, is that door unlocked? Yep. Okay.
Is there a meeting tonight?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stay spaced out socially in the back there and you're fine. Have a seat and sign in
To
if you like.
sign in somewhere or no?
Right behind you. If you like to make comments in public. Right there. Got a pen? Okay, I guess 7:30 is time to call the meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, clerk, would you verify the roll, please? Mr. Prano,
Here.
Mr. Gatling,
Here.
Mr. Nimitz. Mr. Nimitz. Joe, you're muted.
There you go. Here.
Thank you. Mr. Ziemba. Mr. Merkel.
Here.
Mr. Harney.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mr. President. Okay, we have a quorum. We have verified that those attending via Zoom can hear and understand the meeting, and we can hear and understand them. According to the current pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, it is not practical or prudent to have a meeting in person, so we are still going along with the virtual Zoom meetings. The clerk did verify that the attending members via Zoom, Mr. Diatley, Mr. Priano, Mr. Harney, Mr. Nemec, and Mr. Merkel is present, but the other four are attending via Zoom, and we can hear and understand them. Also in attendance is the village attorney, Mark Schuster, whom is also present via Zoom. Likewise, Public Works Director Kyle Killinger via Zoom. And I don't see the chief at this point. We do have a visitor from Comcast with us this evening.
Mr. President, Mr. Steele is also present
Oh,
via
that's
Zoom.
right. I'm sorry, Mr. Steele, village engineer, is present via Zoom. Okay, you guys, this isn't like that TV show where everybody stayed in their own queue. John's got you moving around on him. Okay, we've got that verified and set up. We're ready to go. Approval of the minutes of August 3rd, 2020. We have a motion to so approve.
So moved.
This is Joe, second.
Okay, we've got a motion by Mr. Merkel and a second by Mr. Nemec to approve the minutes of August 3rd, 2020. Are there any corrections?
Under, on page 2, under engineer, it refers to the 2020 Sleepy Hollow Road project, but that's not the Sleepy Hollow Road project. That's just the resurfacing report that we got on Thoroughbred. So I think that needs to be changed from Sleepy Hollow Road. It makes
It's the village.
We are, next year.
Next year, that's 20, it says 2020.
Well, it's supposed to be 2021.
But we authorized, I thought at that meeting, what is discussed in Mr. Heinz's or Mr. Steele's memorandum of August 17, 2020 for 135,000.
Right,
Right, okay,
right.
okay.
What I said though was that by doing that with general funds and not MFT, we were saving the MFT funds for next year's Sleepy Hollow Road project. Because we've got that on, we've got a grant out there for 3/4 of the total cost of doing Sleepy Hollow Road, which is roughly $750,000. We need $250,000 to match that because it'll be approximately $1 million. Okay?
Thank you.
Sure thing. No other corrections? All those, oh, sorry, roll call, please. Mr. Moreno,
Aye.
Mr. Dadley,
Aye.
Mr. Nimitz,
Aye.
Mr. Merkel,
Aye.
Mr. Harney.
Aye.
Okay, we've got unanimous approval of the minutes of August 3rd, 2020. They so pass. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of August 17th, 2020?
Diatley, so moved.
Second.
Harney, second.
Moved by Diatley, seconded by Merkel, any corrections to the minutes of August 17, 2020? There being none, roll call, please.
Mr. Harney,
Aye.
Mr. Merkel,
Aye.
Mr. Nimitz,
Aye.
Mr. Dadley,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous once again. 5-0, the minutes of August 17, 2020 are approved. Okay, President's report. I don't know any easy way to say this, gentlemen, but the letter from West Dundee pretty much came as a shock to me, and as I suppose it did everybody else. I have had a conversation with Mr. Cavallero because I was a bit confused about this letter. I thought he was looking for about $527,000 reimbursement. But after having a conversation with Mr. Cavallero, I find out that he's looking for $1 million and some odd dollars in reimbursement. And I think there's a bit of confusion in his letter, the way he stated it. But going through the numbers that are on page 2, I see where he comes to his conclusion that the village of Sleepy Hollow, he believes, owes West Dundee some $52,865.70 per year for the next 20 years. He's going back to a previous capital improvement of Forward that somehow slipped through West Dundee's microscope, that they think we should have contributed to part of that capital improvement. They believe we should have contributed some $112,520. The next one is a project that Forward is anticipating doing within the next year or two. And that project is going to be on the books for some $8.8 million, of which West Dundee is going to have to come up with their portion of it. And of that portion, they want Sleepy Hollow to contribute on 11.36%, which they claim is our share of their sewage capacity. And that one would be $42,000? No, $49,529. So added with the previous debt that they said would be about $5,626 per year, is how West Dundee came up with the total of $52,865.70. And I said, that's where we stand at the moment. I have forwarded this to Mr. Schuster. He and I will be reviewing the original agreement with West Dundee and having another conversation with West Dundee. But yeah, to be honest, this just does not look good overall for Sleepy Hollow, and especially the sewer district. If we're going to have to come up with anything close to $50,000 a year for the next 20 years out of that section. So I just wanted to let you all know what was out there and is going to be discussed here in the next few weeks with West Dundee as we move forward, so that nobody would get surprised on the streets if somebody were to make a comment about this ongoing conversation. Do we have any questions on this?
I have one question, Perino here. In the sewer district, approximately how many residents are impacted by that?
I believe we got about 167 to 170 residents.
Thank you.
This would work out to about $25 per account per month increase to their bill if we forward this through. I said, there's more to come on this. I just wanted to let you know it's out there, it's being discussed, and we're moving forward. Okay, the next item, would like a board approval of a temporary adjustment of the liquor license fees and the due dates due from our liquor license holders due to the COVID-19 pandemic. That there's two of them, Elsie's and Salsa Street. My proposal is that we cut their liquor license in half and have the due date October 1st. Partially because of the pandemic, their businesses have suffered. I don't see we should really charge them a full year's license permit, give them some chance to recoup some of their losses that they are experiencing. That is why I suggest that we cut their permit fees in half and put the deadline, the payment deadline to October 1st, 2020. Do we have any comments or questions?
Is that for the
The liquor
license for the
license
coming year?
this year,
For the,
this year. We
Okay.
delayed it because of the,
okay, and how much is the license?
it's approximately $2,500 for one and $2,000 for the other.
So you want to cut those in half?
Cut those in half. The one thing I do not suggest cutting in half is the gaming machine fee that Elsie pays. And that's because that's controlled by the state and we're the lowest ones in the neighborhood. So that's like $25 a machine. West Dundee wants like $250 a machine. But we're non-home rule, so we couldn't increase those fees. But the permit fees or the license fees are ours to establish. And I just think to help out these two businesses we've got, that we give them a 50% reduction this year and collect that license fee by the end of this month. What does the board think about it?
I would be in agreement with that. I think it makes a good effort on our part to keep our businesses and keep them moving forward the best we can.
I
would
concur.
agree.
I concur, and I would even forward, making the payment later than October 1st to give them a little more time to recoup the expense since they've just started getting patrons in any volume again.
Well, actually, they called and asked when they needed to pay it.
Okay.
So they haven't asked for another extension. They just, are wanting to know the amount and when they need to have it to us. So if I could have a motion to approve the reduction by 50% to the liquor license fees for Salsa and Elsie's.
So moved.
Second, Moreno.
Moved by Diatley, seconded by Moreno to reduce the liquor license fees by 50% with a due date established as October 1st, 2020. Any further comments, questions, or discussion?
When would the licensing fees normally be due?
May 1st.
May 1st.
But they were put off along
Correct,
with
correct.
all the other things. So we got to pick it up and get it done now. Okay, no further questions. Roll call, please.
Mr. Dattley,
Aye.
Mr. Harney,
Aye.
Mr. Merkel,
Aye.
Mr. Nimitz,
Aye.
Mr. Prano.
Aye.
Unanimous in favor of the reduction of the fees for this year. So the motion so passes. Thank you, gentlemen. The other item is the reopening of the Village Hall and Public Works buildings to the public. We have maintained the policy we started this pandemic with, and that is keeping Village Hall closed to the public, except by appointment only, and trying to do all the work electronically or by email, along with putting permits and envelopes on the outside, picking up information that's left on the porch. It has worked out. We have been fortunate. We have not had anyone within the staff come down with COVID-19. However, I would not like to anticipate a situation where we were to lose any of the staff. So I would like a continuation of maintaining the Village Hall in a closed position until the pandemic either comes to an end or there's a vaccine to be distributed for the public. Any comments, questions, discussion?
Trustee Moreno here. There is no indication that the pandemic's going to come to an end, and there's no indication that the vaccine's going to be available in 2020. I would rather.
Anthony, you're breaking up real bad.
Yeah,
All right, hold on. Is that any better?
That's much better.
Yeah.
Gentlemen,
All right,
you hearing better?
I say something.
I'm going to switch to my other computer, but
Seems like a bandwidth issue. You got somebody else still in.
We lost you again, Anthony. Tinfoil and paper clips.
yeah, I don't know. Can you hear me now or no?
give it a try.
No, I'm gonna have to switch to a different computer.
Okay,
I won't give my comments on this. I'll have to switch over.
Well, while he's switching over, I will just say, Steve, I concur with you. And as water and sewer trustee, unless the staff has not informed me, I have had no complaints or issues or otherwise. Matter of fact, everybody said it's working really smooth. And considering the finances of the village, we may actually continue this on well into the pandemic and maybe become a part-time village hall. So
okay,
How does the staff, they like it being shut down?
they feel much safer and comfortable. And
they also,
I've only had 2 questions about it. And I explained to the people, the red box, you can drop the bills in there and it'll be taken care of, and
Sure.
they've been extremely happy about that, so.
and Tom, to answer your question, I've had actually Sharon and Wendy both say they feel they're much more efficient because they can sit and work and they're not having to get up and check the door and move around and, answer, put people on hold when somebody comes in the door, so that they feel that they're being much more efficient and getting more work done. So
Yeah, I concur with that too. I sat down with Wendy the other day. They said lessons learned, things are working very efficiently. And then down the road, when maybe it does come time to change, we should possibly consider at that time, maybe just opening up Village Hall 2 days a week or so, kind of a transition period, just to keep in mind.
Good idea, Ed. Could I have a motion
Yeah, I would have,
on this proposal?
I would move that we continue to keep the village hall closed except by appointment only and public works building until such time as the pandemic is over.
Arnie, second.
Okay, moved by Nemec, seconded by Harney to maintain the Village Hall being closed until further developments with the COVID-19 pandemic.
I just think it's a little vague as to when the pandemic is over. I mean, we could put this over for 4 months.
Right, we can revisit this at any time.
Right.
I said, I don't know.
I don't know what,
None
if
of us know.
there's ever gonna be agreement that the pandemic is over, the
Yeah.
way things are going with the politics of the country.
Well, we can, revisit it again in another 6-8 weeks and see how things are.
Okay.
It's not a permanent change, it's just, temporary, so. Okey doke, no further comments or questions, roll call, please.
Mr. Dattley,
aye.
Mr. Harney, Aye. Mr. Merkel,
Aye.
Mr. Nimitz,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno. Is he still on?
He's just.
Hi, can you hear me now?
We can.
Now we can hear you.
Yay or nay, Anthony?
Thank you. Thank you, I can hear you.
Okay,
Yes or no?
Thanks for waiting. I was going to say no because there's no indication the pandemic's going to end in 2020. And I would have the village open with people wearing masks entering and with, the people behind the glass as they are now, just to create some flow with the village.
okay, so you would say no to continuing the closing of the Village Hall. All
That's
right,
correct.
okay, then we got a 4-1 vote. The motion so passes, the village hall will temporarily be closed to the public. All right, the next item, geez, I'm gonna have the whole meeting tonight. The Coronavirus Relief Fund, also known as the CARES Act. Some time back, I mentioned that there was a possibility of the village getting some of these funds going forward. Well, these funds have become available through the county. The state has divided the funds for the counties to be distributed to the municipalities, and then the state is keeping the rest of the funds from the federal government to distribute among the rest of the state. Lake County, DuPage, Cook, and Kane are the 4 counties that were allocated their funds directly to be distributed by the counties. Kane County has come up with a program that they are going to institute, and that is divide the funds between the unincorporated county residents and the county government and the rest of the municipalities and the residents within their municipalities. And what that does is comes down to $58.86 per person. So Sleepy Hollow has 3,322 people as of the estimated census of 2019. So that means we're going to get $190,000 and some odd dollars on the table that we may be able to obtain. We have to file an application, which is due by 5 o'clock Friday afternoon to the county to apply for that 190 some odd $1,000. At which time the county will review the application. If it is accepted, then the county and the village of Sleepy Hollow will have to enter into an intergovernmental agreement, an IGA, on that $190,000. Our application will have to be submitted for any reimbursement and for any expenses that we may have incurred due to COVID-19 that were not included in the budget of last year. Are you with me so far?
So far.
Okay, we got $190,000 out there that we can apply for. We got this notice about 2 weeks ago. So I've already had the staff thinking about this and moving forward and trying to determine what we could spend $190,000 on because of the pandemic. One of the things that we come up with is to equip the village hall, public works, and the police department with the capability of conducting remote meetings, i.e. the Zoom meeting. We need bigger monitors in the meeting room so that people can observe the monitors. We need cameras in the meeting rooms so that we can broadcast from those rooms. We need microphones and we need the speakers. What I've proposed is that we set up the boardroom, the conference room, the finance office, the chief's office, Kyle's office, and the training room in the police department. I've asked John Florence to put together a shopping list of what the equipment would be needed to set up all those rooms for remote access for remote meetings going forward. John got me a list late last week. It's about $30,000 worth of equipment. I'm talking 82-inch monitors in the meeting room and 62 or something else, a couple smaller ones in the other rooms. But that would be something that would qualify for this CARES Act reimbursement. Another item, I said, we're brainstorming all over as to what would be related, because it cannot be, it has to be a COVID-19 related expense, and it could not have been covered by the budget that just expired in April 31st, 2020. So it leaves a pretty wide open thing. We've done some brainstorming with the staff. Ventilators, or not ventilators, but air purifiers. There's, of course, the supplies, the PPEs that we would be needing. There are some other things that came to our attention. For example, Kyle mentioned he has to do sewer calls. The clothing that he and Dylan and the part-timers may be wearing gets soiled with the refuge from the sewage to things. They would like not to have to take that clothing home to clean in their family washing and drying machines. I do not see a problem with, a washer and dryer going on that list, so that that type of stuff does not have to happen. The other item that could possibly be used too is the number of water main breaks and the number of sewer calls that we have experienced since the 17th of March, when the pandemic was declared, has gone up rather drastically compared to what we've seen in past summers and springs. We're taking a look at the number that we've had the last 2 or 3 years compared to this year. We've seen an increase. So I've had the staff put those numbers together. We're going to submit those for reimbursement. The other thing that came out the other day from the federal Treasury guidelines is that the payroll for public safety can be reimbursed. Public safety, i.e., is the police department. There is some question as to whether the county will follow this guideline or not. But between March 1st and August 30th, we have about $300,000 worth of, or no, is it December? I don't remember the exact. We've got about $340 some odd thousand in payroll to the police department, gross. Net, we've got about $215,000. If the county follows the United States Treasurer's guidelines, which states that the public safety payroll can be reimbursed, then what my proposition is that we file for all that we can get of that $190,000 with that payroll reimbursement, minus the $30,000 that we might need for the equipment upgrade to Village Hall and Public Works to continue conducting Zoom style meetings going forward with the proper equipment. So that's where we stand at the moment. Now, this is it's a two-part application. The first part's for reimbursement. The second part's for expenses that we may incur between now and the 30th of December. But as I said, if what I'm reading is true and the payroll can be used, our police department payroll will take care of that $160 some odd thousand left on the table. So my proposition is Friday, when I send that application in, is to have the police payroll for just about everything except for the IT stuff we need for the Zoom meetings going forward. If that application gets kicked back, then we can fall back to all the other stuff that we've talked about, from air purifiers to the washing machines, to replacement of windows, etc., that we've been putting together, that are expenditures that would be required because of COVID that we don't have the money budgeted for. You say the windows, well, It's ventilation is part of it. We can't open the windows in the meeting room anymore. They're broken. So, yeah, that's part of the thing. We might be able to get that done. Like I said, my gut right now is to go 160,000 on payroll and 30,000 on IT. And that'll get us our 190,000. If that fails, then we go back to the small game and get, load up on the PPE and the washing and dryer. And we had a list of stuff going. We've got to total that up tomorrow and Thursday. But that's what the CARES Act is. And for some reason, Kane County said we have to have our information in by September 11th at 5 o'clock. The other 3 counties have until September 30th. But that was a decision made with the powers to be in each of the counties.
Are we entitled to ask for anything for loss of revenue?
No. There is no revenue reimbursement.
Hey, Steve,
Yes.
do you want to scale back on some of the IT stuff and at least add like maybe the washer and dryer and some of the other things? Because that would be a huge impact. And I'm not sure how much we
Well, I
would
can
use
check
the IT.
with Kyle tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm just not sure in the meeting room how much more having a whole setup in there I'd use as opposed to just having a good notebook with a camera and a speaker on it.
Well, from our standpoint, looking out and around, I could use a larger screen.
Right, but you talked about doing it there and the meeting and the trustee room.
Right.
That's something, I don't know how much I'd ever use the trustee room as opposed to just having a notebook in there that you could do
Well, I
teleconferences
know you
on.
might not use it, but I do use it occasionally. We do have people come in, so we need to have it set so that, it could be another place for meetings to be held. Yeah, a notebook or something. That's the other thing I did ask John to put in that, and that was 12 laptops for the village. My idea behind that is each trustee would then be given a laptop. The laptop would have the camera and the microphone and would be ready to go. And then upon the expiration of the trustee's term in office, the laptop would then be turned back to the village. But we also have laptops for finance, public works, and the police. So that's where we come up with 11, 12 laptops. So. But I still think we need to set up the other 3 or 4 offices for the capability, if nothing else, for the chief to be able to conduct meetings from his office, for Kyle to be able to conduct meetings from his office, for the chief to be able to have training sessions for the officers virtually in the training room, and also in the finance office to have the capability of conducting meetings out of there too, without having to move into the conference room or the boardroom. So, if you got any other ideas for expenditures, let me know.
Hey, Steve, it sounds like on the application, you're submitting a priority list so that if the second priority is denied, then it automatically continues down the list?
No, from my understanding, I submit the list. If they accept it, they accept it. If they don't, then I try and get it, go back with another one.
Oh,
I can't give them 1 item, 2 items and say, if you don't take 1, take 2.
Okay.
They're just gonna say, give me 1 item. If I don't take it, then you're gonna have to come back and give me a second one.
That was my question too. If they reject the police part, are we just out of luck, or we can put it?
We'll throw everything else, in there. Yeah, we're on the phone talking to everybody, trying to say, will they take just the police?
Do you know
Some say they
if-
won't, some say
If
they
they
will.
reject, if there's a 190,000 allocated for us and we only use 30, where does the rest of that money go?
Back to the county.
And what are they gonna do with it?
That's why
Who's approving what they're
That's
doing?
why I don't want to leave anything on the table, Tom.
Yeah.
We're gonna buy laptops.
That's, if we don't use it, we lose it.
Yeah, I just wonder where that ends
And
up.
where, well, technically, if the county can't use it, it goes back to the state. The state can't use it, it goes back to the
I
feds.
mean, I saw something in the paper 6 weeks ago or so saying Sleepy Hollow was gonna get 230,000. They made it sound like they were just gonna give us the 230 and we could do whatever we wanted to do. I guess the article was,
Well, that was originally, when they first started talking, I remember one of the first figures they threw out at us was $256,000 for Sleepy Hollow.
yeah, I wasn't talking much about the amount,
I
but
know.
they made it sound like they're just gonna give us a
That's,
sum of money. We were gonna get a little windfall for us.
right. Well, when they came back, I said it's a two-part application. First part is a reimbursement of expenses incurred from March 1st to August 30th. Okay. All expenses that were COVID related could be applied for a reimbursement. And then we could also apply for funds going from September 1st to December 30th for expenditures that we anticipate. Well, that's where we came up with starting to make this list. But then when the word started filtering down that payroll for the police department would be considered, then it makes all those mute, because I can, 160 real quick out of the police department. So that's gonna be the question, whether they will accept it. But I had an email this afternoon that said they were following the US Treasury guideline. And in the US Treasury guideline, it says that public service or public safety is a qualified expense unless the executive of the municipality or the governmental entity decided it wasn't. And I'm not going to say it's not. So,
Yeah. How long does it take them to get back to you on this?
once the application is filed, we have to have the intergovernmental agreement with them done by the 24th of this month.
Okay.
So it'll be less than 13 days that we'll get things, moving forward.
Was Mr. Schuster working with you on this?
Mr. Schuster, the chief, Wendy, Metro West, the state's attorney's office. We got all sorts of people working on this thing. So,
Well, I think it sounds like a good approach.
I said, yeah, it's sort of been a bit of a headache, I said, but if this payroll reimbursement for public safety holds what they say, then that's my thought. We'll just go with that one and, make life easier.
Mhm.
Because the reimbursement of all this stuff, we can do that. We've got all the documentation, but it's going forward for those expenditures that are going to be difficult, because we still have to follow all of our regular processes for procedure or for purchases. If it's $1,000, we need the purchase order. It needs to have the 2 signatures. If it's $5,000, it has to have 3 bids. It's got to have a purchase order, and that all has to be done if it's for a reimbursement or an anticipated expense in the future. But payroll, all we have to do is submit our payroll information and we're done for the police department. I will keep you informed on that. I'm sure we'll have to have a conversation about that at the next meeting, because if the IGA has to be filed by the 24th of September, the only other meeting we will have before that will be the 21st. So we'll need to have an answer from the county at that point. Any other questions or comments concerning the CARES Act?
I have a question.
Break for control, Steve.
Yes.
I just got an email from Mr. Rivas. He is having trouble getting on and needs the Zoom link. If somebody has a cell phone, can they send it to him?
No, he's on.
He's
Is he?
on.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. The next item.
Red Oak.
Difficulty here.
Red Oak.
Red Oak. I know. I just looked at my screen and I'm in a agenda for a Quadcom meeting. Yeah, okay. There we are. Okay. Next item is a request from Red Oak Property Management. Red Oak Property Management recently took over the apartments on Willow and Acorn.
Yeah.
Up at the top of the, or Willow and
Lucas.
Locust. Willow and
Locust.
Locust. We've got those 4 apartment buildings up there. Well, Red Oak has recently taken over management and ownership of those. And in your packet, you will find the letter from the gentleman at Red Oak, along with his proposition. They would like to improve that, I don't know, boulevard entryway.
Right.
Outside of the apartments, there's 2 little parcels that in the middle of the road. And Red Oak would like to come in, clean those up, spruce them up, put some new plants in them, and maintain them at no cost to the village. And they've asked what it would take on our part to let them do this. And my thought is, if they want to do it, they can do it, as long as we get a letter of release of liability from them. Is that correct, Mr. Schuster?
At least that, I would suggest that there be an agreement that talks about their standards they have to follow under the tree regulations and the roadway construction regulations. Maybe some more definite plans for village review, indemnification, and insurance. And they say they'll maintain them going forward. So that's another item. So it might be a little too much to just put in a simple letter.
Okay. All right, so a letter of agreement then.
Yeah.
I've driven by
Makes
there
sense.
a couple times. I drove by there actually today. They've taken down a lot of their trees along their buildings, and they have some pretty small, scrawny trees that looks like they're replacing them with, so. The trees that are there are actually kind of gnarled wood, and I don't understand why we'd wanna, some of them could use a little trimming, but why they would wanna take down the big trees. So I wouldn't have a problem with them trimming the trees and putting something in, but the trees that are there now are a pine type tree that doesn't drop needles. They're right in the middle of the road, so if someone puts in a maple tree, we're gonna have stuff all over the. So I think Mr. Schuster's right that we need more detail, and I would hate to see them take down these large trees that are actually kind of scenic and put in some little 2-inch diameter things like they're putting. And actually, the thought came to my mind when they removed all these trees, that they violate our tree ordinance, taking down the trees that were along the
Private
roadway.
property?
Well, there's a right of way there. They took some down on the right of way, so.
I
Anyway,
went and looked. I'm sorry, Tom, were you done? I went and looked at the trees too, and I agree with Tom, especially on if you're referring to the 2 pictures. The one picture where the mature tree stands all alone, I see nothing unattractive with that. Now, the picture with the stone on it, that definitely needs to be power washed, but they gotta, hopefully they're keeping in mind that that is a difficult place to grow anything with all the road salt in that location, but especially this one big mature tree looks pretty attractive to me.
Yeah, I think this is where Mr. Schuster's on point, in the fact that we need to have them submit a plan to us first before anything is approved or, done. That way we know kind of exactly what's going to be done there.
Well, in his note, he says, I propose removing the existing trees along the stone wall and replanting trees of your approved variety along with perennials and bushes. And on the second island, I propose to plant 2 trees, connecting them with a strip of perennials.
And what happens if they sell out in 2 years from now?
Right. You guys take a ride by out there and look at them. They're nice trees. They're not diseased or broken down. And I can't just see taking out trees that took years to get to that state to put in something that you hope's gonna grow. It'd be nice if they put perennials. I could see where they'd want to do that, make it look a little more attractive, and I'd be for that, you know.
Well, we'll reach out to them and see what their actual plans are and work up an agreement with them if they want to go that way. Okay?
I mean, we are a tree city, right?
No, not anymore.
No.
Huh? All right, then they can come down.
Okay, all right. That's it for the president's report. Clerk's report?
I have nothing to report.
Thank you, Anthony. P and Z, we've got nothing this evening from P and Z.
There is a meeting next week, Mr. President.
That's right, they do have a meeting Thursday, the 10th at 6:30. Okay. All right, next item is the attorney's report. Mr. Schuster.
Yes, good evening. So we have some couple of things to talk about regarding the proposed cable franchise renewal. Those of you like me on video will see Ms. Joan Sage is present. She is the local government liaison for Comcast for our region. She and I have had discussions regarding the proposed agreement. There's a couple of places that the agreement does not exactly match up with the Village of Sleepy Hollow cable franchise regulations. And I wanted to point those out just so that you're aware and can give some guidance on those issues so we can conclude this agreement and move on with Comcast. So the first has to do with delinquent payments. Payments are due from Comcast for their franchise fee. If there's an audit, and we haven't had that happen anytime recently, but it's allowed. And then it would be determined that Comcast had underpaid for any reason. That would be another time when payments would be due from Comcast to the village. Comcast proposes that they would, well, let me make one more statement. Comcast has submitted to you, the Village of Sleepy Hollow, a form of agreement that matches an agreement that was negotiated with other governmental entities, and in particular, the Metropolitan Caucus of Mayors. And they've utilized that form in many different municipalities to date. But then to get back to the point, they proposed that the JP Morgan prime lending rate would control any interest on delinquent payments that are due from them to the village. The village ordinance provides that it will be prime +2 as established at First American Bank. So it's a slightly different amount and a different benchmark. Maybe it doesn't make too much difference, and we haven't had past disputes about payments, but I certainly want you to be aware of that distinction. And if you want to stand by your ordinance, then that's some direction that we need to hear about. The second is the indemnity provision. And just to really spin your heads, I attached 4 or 5 different statements of indemnity that relate to cable and cable franchising from the village code, the state law, and so on. But the idea is that there would be insurance and backup from Comcast for any injury or damage that would occur as a result of their construction and or their operations in the village. One thing that we have agreed on, they had put in a provision that they would defend any claim provided that it was filed within the statute of limitations period. They've agreed to strike that out. As you might imagine, if a claim is filed, someone has to go in and ask that it be dismissed if it was not timely filed. And so basically Comcast has agreed that they would take that obligation on behalf of the village and make the motion and have it argued and presumably won. But again, the language is just a little bit different. And then the third issue has to do with remedies. Village code provides that damages could be available to the village. It doesn't specify any particular reason. But in general, should there be a cause or a claim that the village would have against Comcast for its operations, damages might be sought. What Comcast says is that village could seek specific performance or declaratory judgment to enforce the agreement. Now, they do have another clause that says that they recognize that two things, that there are construction standards established by the village, and if there were damage to the roadway that was not properly restored, that would be an action that the village could pursue. The other is that there's a state law, which is mirrored in the village code for customer service standards. It's unlikely that those would result in damages to the village for some reason. But again, Comcast recognizes that there could be causes of action under that state law, and the village could pursue those. So again, there's a slight dichotomy, but if you're somehow concerned that the village ought to reserve its general right to sue Comcast for damages, what Comcast is proposing would narrow that. And just the last point is just a note. At the present time, Comcast provides complimentary service to the village buildings, also to the fire district and the school. They do that as a policy. That policy is under attack. And in the federal district court in Texas, there's been a ruling that that is inappropriate for the, I think it was written up that it's inappropriate for the municipality to demand that as a condition of granting a franchise. But the result is that it may be ruled on appeal that that is inappropriate under the Federal Communications Act and cannot be continued. We just a heads up, we may get a notice for the village that subsequently the village will have to pay for its cable just like everyone else. Simultaneously, the school district and the fire district would get a direct communication from Comcast with the same result. For now, we're okay, but we'll have to pay attention to what happens in that case. So if we could go back to the start, if there are any questions or comments about the first issue about the different interest standards that could be applied to this agreement for delinquent payments.
If I could add something, and that is that over 500 communities have signed this draft agreement that you folks have. And our goal is to treat all of our communities fairly and equally. So we are hoping that you will agree to that because we do feel that what we are proposing is fair. And excuse me, if I can add, more importantly, in my mind personally, the agreement is something that is required by law, but it's important for me, for all of you folks to know that when you have any kind of a concern, you can come directly to me. I will make sure that all of you have my email address, my cell phone number, so that if there is ever an issue that you even have a question about or something that is going on with one of your residents, I want you to feel comfortable coming directly to me.
All right. Well, and certainly nothing I said was meant to imply that Comcast is being unfair. I only
Oh,
meant
no,
to
I
point-
understand. No, I
Joan,
understand. I understand that.
I'm simply pointing out a couple of
Absolutely.
discrepancies, just so the board's aware. And it's a matter of deciding what to do about those things, okay?
Shirley, no, I understand.
Oh,
I
I know.
have two brothers that are attorneys, so I understand exactly where you're coming from.
All right, I'm just teasing. But we do need some direction. Hopefully we can get it tonight and close this up.
Since we haven't had an issue with payments and that in the past, I would be okay with going with what Comcast is proposing instead of the Prime Plus 2. Since we have not had any issues with that in the past, that would be kind of the way I would look at it.
I'm with Steve on that one.
Sounds reasonable.
All right, then, Mr. Schuster has provided ordinance number 2020-12. An ordinance granting renewal of a franchise to Comcast of Northern Illinois Incorporated for construction, operation, and maintenance of a cable system in the village of Sleepy Hollow. Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved. Diatley.
Second.
Moved by Diatley, seconded by Harney. Any further comments, questions, or discussion?
Yes, sir. There were two other issues I raised. One is in regard to the indemnity clause. If anyone has any concern about that, now would be the time to raise it. Again, it's some minor language differences between the village code and the proposal. Certainly in general, the Comcast offers to indemnify the village for problems arising from its contractors in construction, its occupancy of the rights of way, and providing or offering service of the facilities. I just point out it's not exactly what in the terms expressed in the village code. And it's just hard to predict if it'll ever make it a difference in something.
If we approve this, Mark, would we have to change the village code then?
No, well, no, not necessarily, but the point would be that
Right.
under the law as it stands now in Illinois, all cable providers are to be treated equally. So it would effectively change your village code if there were a competing company that came to the village.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
Is unlikely in the current, it'd be more easily distributable. And then the third issue is on the remedies. If you're comfortable of being able to sue for the customer service and the damage to the rights of way, and otherwise to seek specific performance of the.
Are we breaking up?
He's having
He's freezing.
issues.
Okay,
Everyone else seems fine.
so we lost Mark, huh?
Yeah, he's frozen.
Yep, in time.
We're frozen up.
Yes,
Yep.
we're frozen up, Mark.
Just you.
Just you.
Just you. You're
On-
back.
On the
He's
third
back
one.
now.
All right.
Hey, Mark, I do have a question, and I don't know if this relates to this or not, or the new contract or the old contract or otherwise. The poles that ComEd replaced, I believe, Stephen, correct, around about 6 years ago, and then either Comcast or AT&T, some combination, was supposed to take out the old poles, and it never occurred. Is that under the old contract. If we renew this one, is that going to cause problems with trying to get Comcast or AT&T, whose our responsibility is to take them out, or is that part of this contract, or is
It's
this?
not, well, let me say, it's not part of this contract, and I don't recall what it is you're talking about. So we'd have to look at that. If it's a
Yeah,
Comcast obligation, I know that Ms. Sage would like to hear about it and
Absolutely.
deal with it. If it's a shared obligation, well, that's another thing. And I don't recall, how did that come about?
ComEd replaced all the lines behind Willow between Locust and Glen Oak, or not, but the pool. And within 2 years, I can't remember, and Steve may have to deal with it, was either
Right.
ComEd or Comcast or AT&T or some joint venture was supposed to move their lines to the new poles or move the old ones, and it's never happened. And I believe,
So-
Steve, you had some correspondence with both of them, maybe
Yeah,
not
I want
about.
to say, Joe, that was ComEd, changed the poles, and AT&T, I thought was the ones that had not moved their equipment.
So there's two sets of poles in a certain part of the village?
That is correct.
All right. Well, we-
If I,
There's an amended pole. It's been cut.
if I could have those locations, Comcast rents space from ComEd. So when ComEd replaces poles, it is our responsibility to move our cable from the old poles to the new poles. Now, if we have not moved that equipment, I would like to know where that is, and I will make sure that our cabling is moved to the new poles.
Joan, I can get back to you tomorrow with the exact location, but
Perfect.
as Mr. Nemec mentioned, it's in Sleepy Hollow between Locust and Winmore, or Locust. Yeah, Locust and Winmore,
Yeah.
and Winmore and Willow. Winmore has a funny little jog in it, so it ends up being the end and the side.
And did the other utilities move all of their cables?
Everybody's done except for one utility.
All right. Well,
My memory is it's AT&T. But I'll check with that tomorrow and get to Joan. and let
all
her-
right.
Thank you. Thank you, President.
So any other concerns about the proposed agreement? Looks like no.
No.
So did you get a motion on the floor,
I've got a
Mr.
motion
President?
and a second. Yes, I do. So if there's no further comments, questions, or discussion, I'll ask for a roll call.
Mr. Dattley,
Aye.
Mr. Harney,
Aye.
Mr. Merkel. Aye. Mr. Nimitz,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno.
I'm going to abstain because I'm totally confused.
Okay, that gives us four affirmative and one abstention. The motion so passes.
All right,
Thank you. Thank you.
we'll wrap that up and we'll give you some information about those polls.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us, Joan. I'll be in touch with you tomorrow.
Absolutely. Thank you. And please, I do want all of you to have my personal information, all of my business information, my cell phone and that. So tell me how I can distribute that or what we need to do.
Why don't we have the village clerk distribute that to the various trustees? I believe I have it in your emails to me, Joan, so I can be sure that the village clerk has that. He can send it out to the trustees and probably to the Public Works Department. Be a good idea.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right,
Thank you.
that's all I have, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Next one, engineer.
Good evening, everyone. First up is the Sleepy Hollow Road project update. Just wanted to give you an update. If you recall, is the village had applied for a King Kendall Council of Mayors grant, which is distributed by CMAP, and basically is they were put on the short list for approval. Just recently is the KCOM full council actually approved the program, and Sleepy Hollow Road is on that for fiscal year 2021. The next step is for the CMAP Transportation Committee to approve it on September 18th. And then from there then it goes through another committee approval on CMAP to approve it on October 14th. And if everybody agrees to it, then on October 16th is when the village should hear that they've been approved for the program, which means that Sleepy Hollow Road will be repaved in 2021. The first bid opening for that is in June of 2021. So Sleepy Hollow Road would be on that bid opening, which means that construction would start shortly thereafter.
Is that what's the village share percentage?
That is 25% of that.
So it's 75, 25?
Yeah.
And that's a figure that the village president mentioned earlier that
Yep,
the
exactly.
village needs to set aside to have that ready to go.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Any questions on that?
Nope.
Next up is let's see, who is this? AT&T had recently come in for a permit application. What they're looking to do is install conduit along Willow Lane, which is from the Sleepy Hollow, West Dundee border, basically up to headed west towards the apartment complex that's there. Basically just took a look at it and everything looks good on engineering and building side. So just looking for village board approval on that.
Jeff, is this where we were just talking about the duplicate
No,
poles?
this
Okay.
is on the complete opposite side of town.
All right.
On that complete opposite side of the road. It's on Willow, but it's on the east side of it. So. Do we have a motion to authorize the permit application from AT&T for Sleepy Hollow project job number USH 20-6?
So move.
Second, Diatley.
Moved by Harney, seconded by Diatley to approve the AT&T permit. Application A01XAYX. Any further comments, questions, or discussion?
Where does 700 Willow Lane come in?
That's basically if you're looking, it's at the apartment complex that's right there. That actually used to be in Sleepy Hollow, but now it's over on West Dundee side.
Or you come in from the post office, there's that small apartment complex
Okay,
on the
okay, all
north
right,
side.
okay.
That's about 700. Okay, no further comments, questions, or discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Moreno,
Aye.
Mr. Nimitz,
Aye.
Mr. Merkel,
Aye.
Mr. Harney,
Aye.
Mr. Dattley.
Aye.
Okay, 5 affirmative votes. The motion so passes.
Lastly is this past Friday is we had the bid opening for the 2020 street program. Village board actually won't be able to approve the low bidder until the next board meeting, just due to the requirement of 7 days protest in case anybody has any protest against the bid opening. But hopefully you all received the email today in regards to the bid results. You can see that Arrow Road Construction was the low bidder at around $89,000. Originally, the board had approved or was looking to spend upwards of $135,000. We actually received incredibly favorable bids from everybody this year, especially on asphalt prices. We were not expecting that at all. I don't think anybody actually was, just because of, I guess, they're hungry for work this year. So what we were wondering is, obviously the board can't approve it until the next board meeting, but would the board be willing or looking into actually trying to go for that full $135,000 from the contractor, as far as discussing with them if they'd like to add additional streets or patching or paving.
Hey, Jeff,
Yep.
isn't that the area of Thoroughbred further down from Bullfrog down toward the park scheduled to be repaved too?
Yeah. I don't know if you saw my last memo. Is the paving area is basically patching Willow from Locust all the way over to Winmore, and then also is repaving from Thoroughbred from Hillcrest all the way up to Bullfrog.
That's what I say is because
Or actually, sorry, not even Bullfrog. It's actually all the way to Jockley.
oh, is it that far? Okay, no, I didn't
Yeah.
see that. So
Yeah, we actually, when I started doing all the estimates and everything, I was able to extend it to be down further.
okay, I just saw Bullfrog. That was why I was suggesting we go all the way to J Clay. So
Yeah, that was originally, I decided after the memo to actually extend that out just because we had a couple dollars extra on that. So
I have
to
a
be honest, I
question.
just oh, go ahead, Anthony. Sorry.
Thanks, Joe. Just a quick question. With the various differences in the amounts, are there any consideration into the quality of work that these individual companies produce?
we've actually dealt with every single one of these contractors in the past, and they all do good work. So quality wise it's no concern is.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Well, yeah, I mean, just for the board, all I have to say is that it'd be nice to have money in the bank and not spend it. The other part of it is since the prices are so favorable and we have so many streets that need to be paved, this seems like a good opportunity. So I'm kind of on the fence. Anybody want to convince me one way or the other?
I say I forgot to mention one thing is after we had actually gone out for bids and everything, is Kyle was made aware of a culvert that's failing under Willow, and it's one of the major culverts that actually drains the from the south side of Willow over to the north side of Willow. So we would like to actually put some of that 135,000 or the remaining amount, which is 45,000 ish, towards that culvert replacement. Kyle is looking to get some prices on that if the board would be willing to do that too.
I would be willing to have Kyle get the prices and see what we have.
Bring them back, yes. I'm sorry,
I have a question.
Tom?
On the Willow Lane drainage, you were going to try to get us a final report. How's that coming, John?
Yeah, I'm actually finalizing that out, so I'll actually have that for you at the next board meeting.
Thank you.
Hey, Jeff, when it comes to culverts and drainage, do we ever determine that structure that's failed at the corner of Bullfrog and Willow on the northeast corner where that one goes to?
If you're talking about the, let's see, it'd be the northeast corner. It's a little catch basin that's in kind of a hole.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. We have looked down in it and it kind of goes to the northwest-ish. However, when we look down in it, you can't actually see a dead end on that just due to its length. So Kyle is actually hoping is sometime when he's able to get some funds is televise that and actually clean it out and jet it out just so we can clear that out a lot better than what it actually is. Although just looking at how it actually drains, somehow it drains, but where its actual exit is we're kind of unsure. We can kind of take a guess at that, but its actual end location is unknown at the moment. Unless Kyle,
it is functioning.
Unless Kyle was actually able to find the end of it.
I haven't found it yet.
But it is functioning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, anything else, Jeff?
Nope, that was it. Basically, I just wanted to let you be aware of the improvements. Did you want me to try and talk to the contractor as far as seeing how much extra work, or do you just want to kind of hold off? And
well, let's hold off till the next meeting. Kyle needs to get a cost on the culvert that he's found under Willow that needs attention. So let's get the cost from that and see what we've got left, and then we can talk to the contractor.
Okay.
I did just get a estimate to do from Winmore to Bullfrog, all those culverts that are under Willow there, and it's looking like it's going to come out to be about 34,000 for all of them. So I'd be curious to see, Jeff, do you know what Arrow would charge for a culvert replacement?
More than likely it's probably upwards of 10 grand just based off of their previous culverts that they've done, just because they'd end up probably subbing it out. And yeah, is typically they sub out that kind of things. And even then it gets end up pretty costly, especially if they end up doing it just because they are an asphalt company.
I would prefer spending the money on culverts replacement because that's pretty desperate need along Willow there, rather than doing more paving right now.
Say if Kyle's got a 34K estimate at this point, Jeff, that leaves you roughly 9,000. Let's see. 10. Yeah, you got about $11,000.
Hey, Kyle,
Yeah.
does that include the culvert that Jeff was just talking about that's failed that needs to be repaired, or is that down on the other section?
Let me take a look. He's got, I think, what was the address of that? Is that 938 Willow or something like that?
934? No, it's the area where it was just that new, where they put in the new stone.
Yeah, I think it was
938.
So
yeah, he does. It's not included. This has 941 up to 955.
So add another $10,000 culvert to that.
Now, it looks like, Jeff, we got an $89,000 offer from Arrow. We got culverts that need to be replaced on Willow.
No problem.
Okay. All right, anything else from the engineer?
That is it. Like I said, is next board meeting, I'll actually have the report. Actually, I'll probably have it in your guys' hands beforehand, and then you can just discuss it at the next board meeting too. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jeff. The next item, Director of Finance, warrants. We've actually got two sets of warrants to approve tonight. We can just combine them. We've got the warrants of August 17th, and we got the warrants of this evening. So the warrants for August 17th were $146,211.55. The warrants for September 8th, 2020 is $104,761.13. A combined total of $250,972.68. Can we have a motion to so move? So approve.
So moved, Diatley.
Second, Moreno.
Moved and seconded by Diatley and Moreno to approve the total warrants for Village of Sleepy Hollow on September 8th, 2020 in the amount of $250,972.68. Any comments, questions, additions, deletions? There being none, roll call, please.
Mr. Diatley,
Aye.
Mr. Harney,
Aye.
Mr. Merkel,
Aye.
Mr. Nimitz,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno.
Aye.
And 5 affirmative votes, unanimous approval of the warrants. Motion so passes. Okay. Public comments. We've actually got people here at Village Hall with us this evening. Mel and Bonnie Gustafson.
How are we doing?
We're doing fine. The next 5 minutes are yours.
Great.
Great. This has been an ongoing problem. for a
This is
long
not the
time.
first year, the second year, or the third year that we've been here with the same problem. The
Yeah.
difference is in December, we had very serious water problems inside our house. And our neighbor was forced to lower his driveway on the assumption, the deal supposedly, according to him, was that if he lowered his swale, the village would take care of the rest of it, so the water would drain. And he did his part. If I may be speaking for him, because he is not well and newly widowed, and it was difficult for him to come up with the money to do it. And he's considering selling his house, and we still have the same problem because the village never came in and did their part. And that was the deal that was supposed to be done, so that we can grow a front lawn again and get rid of our lakefront property.
Lakefront property is more valuable.
Not here,
In
it's not
certain
here.
cases,
Yes.
right.
Yes, I mean, it's just gone on year after year, but this year was a little different. This year, we had extensive water problems in our house, which we've spent a great deal of money trying to fix. And he did lower his driveway, but the village never came in to do
They
their
never
part.
came in to retrench the ditch, so we would have a good pitch, so the water would.
So the
go
water
away.
was just still sitting
So
there.
the ditch fills up and goes onto the line. So it's a matter of from one culvert to another culvert to try to level it off so that the water will drain off. That's what we're looking at.
I will get with Kyle and the engineer and we'll take a gander at it. I can't
Okay.
guarantee you we'll get it done this year.
And he was told it would get done this year now.
See, because
So,
this,
I mean, this was last December he did
Last
that.
December, none of us knew of a pandemic. None of us knew we were gonna lose
Yeah.
$250,000.
Well, and I mean, it was marked off 2 years ago,
I
and
know.
then last year.
We've been working on that whole stretch from Jackley all the way over to Locust. Bits and pieces here and there. We just don't have the time or the money to do the whole thing once. We got to do it piecemeal when we can. Little pieces here and little pieces there. I'm sorry, I wish I had a magic wand and I could do everything right now, but I can't. I gotta do.
So when he was told that in December, it just meant that eventually 1 year Sleepy Hollow would do their part. Is-
Well,
He-
you want to
he
know
was
the
under the
truth is we were rather
misunderstanding.
shocked that he did it as quick as he did. Usually these things can take another couple of years to get them to do something. He did his rather quickly. Now we've got, regroup and come back at it ourselves, so.
So
I said, the drainage situation from here to Locust is still one of our concerns and we're gonna be working on it for a long time. So we'll be there. I'll have the engineer and Kyle come by and look. If it's something I think we can do in-house and it's inexpensive,
Yeah,
maybe we can get it
from
done.
one culvert to another, and I think that'll solve.
Well,
Sometimes
it
we don't
needs to
always
be dug
have.
out a little at the other side of his, so the
Well, I
water has to
understand.
go back. I mean, we all know the engineer has looked at it.
Yeah.
They've been out there.
Okay, then he can
Obviously,
review
we
it
work
with
with
the,
them in December. And
review it with the engineer can review it with
Yeah.
Public Works and we can see what we
so
got.
there's a chance it's gonna get done this year? Or is this like absolutely no?
I don't know. We have to consult and see what we've got, what kind of expense it's gonna be. Is it something that can be done with what we've got in-house, or do we have to subcontract? I said, we're at a point right now where we don't know where the next nickel's coming from. And so we've got to be careful. We just went through this road program. Typically in a road program, we're looking at $150,000 to $160,000. We're looking at a road program of $90,000 this year. Because we got to save money for a commitment we made 2 years ago for Sleepy Hollow Road. So I got to save that money that's already been committed. Like I said,
So
let me review this with the engineer and Public Works, and we'll see what can be done.
All righty.
You don't move fast.
well, I mean, it's just, until next year at this time where we sit through the hour and a half, and then when I call, they just say you have to go to this meeting. to
Come
get
on, Ian.
any answer on anything. And it's just kind of frustrating when nothing's got done, especially when he
We've got
was told
stuff
it was getting
done.
done.
We've been working. We've got a lot of this stuff to the east of you prepped up and ready. We're working over there. Every year we get something done. This year it seems to be more on the south side of Willow. You know, the last 2 or 3 years, you know, we've done a lot of work up there from Bullfrog through Thoroughbred and Hillcrest. So we'll get there.
So eventually, if we're still here.
If I'm still here.
I mean, we're not getting any younger.
Yes. I don't know.
If we could get
You still got blonde hair, Bonnie?
Yes. 1 or 2 good years.
Let's
Right.
see.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, folks.
All righty.
Okay, trustee reports, roads and parks. Ed?
Since we last met, we heard from Dundee Township Park District regarding ongoing maintenance at Sabatino Park. They added some mulch, replaced some 6x6s. There's a letter in your packet with the specifics. The agreement on the maintenance would, the cost of that would be shared. Our cost came to a little bit over $1,400. I did go over there and walk the perimeter. It was surprising to me. There's approximately 60 6x6s on the perimeter of the park, and they're definitely, about 8 of them were totally rotted through. So they added mulch and they cleared out the weeds and that. So that just brings the board up to date regarding Sabatino.
Okay. All right, thank you, Ed. Finance. Well, Don's not with us this evening. We've got a couple of items, one in your packet. You've got the revenue and expense reports and the balance sheets through July 30th, 2020. Sometime within the next week, August will be closed out and we will have those numbers. But at least you can see where we stand as of July 31st, 2020 in regards to our balance sheet and our revenues and expenses. The next item is the approval of the fiscal year 2021 budget, which Mr. Ziemba said he would have to us at the 1st of September. We don't have it this evening, but we do have the contracts from the unions approved, and they are awaiting the increase in pay that was awarded them in the new contracts. And we've also got the finances or the salaries of the non-union people to contend with. But since Mr. Ziemba's not here with the budget, kind of leaves me in a rough spot. Okay, that's it for finance. I'm going to take up the salaries under executive session, compensation of employees. We'll
That's the non-union employees, right?
Non-union employees.
Correct. I mean, the board has already agreed to the union employees' compensation structure.
Correct.
Very good.
What we're missing is the non-union. So under executive session and new business, we'll take that up. Water and sewer, Joe?
Yes, Steve had asked me a while ago when to look into do away with the postcards and a single page mailing for our water bills. I talked to West Dundee and found out the service they use, as well as East Dundee. And Steve, Wendy, and I had a teleconference with them the other day. She has submitted 2 proposals to us, which I would like the finance committee to look at. They have green pay, which is separate, which would also involve, that would be water bills, sewer bills, stickers, and other things that we could use it for, which Finance Committee could look at. But the bill paying and the service would take public, or take the office out of the business of printing out postcards, mailing them out, taking the post office, buying postage. And my understanding, talking to Wendy, is that we need a new $1,000 printer to print out the water bills. So I'd like either the board or the Finance Committee to take a look at to see if it would indeed be a, zero cost to us on that. So any questions on that? Steve, anything you want to say on that, since you're the one who brought it up?
Well, one of the reasons I brought this up was the personal security of information that's being supplied to our residents. And we've got their account number, their bill, their amount due, their name, their address, everything right there on a 3x5 postcard that's being handled through the postal system, and who all knows how many eyes get to look at that and see it. Plus the fact that it's a very easy piece of mail to lose today. And all the junk mail, I know personally, we've looked for hours a couple of times in the various flyers that have come to the house, looking for that little 3x5 card. So when the opportunity came for a full-size 8.5 by 11 mailer in an envelope, I just asked Joe to take a look and see what this would look like for us. And the conversation with Third Millennium Group is the result of this. They've got a one-time charge of $1,350 and a monthly fee of $148.31, plus, of course, the postage. But they would then mail an 8.5 by 11 in an envelope, so all the information is sealed outside of the occupant's name on the in the window. So their account number, their amounts past due, and everything else would be personal. Included in there, of course, would be a return envelope. And also these people would be able to take ACH and set that up. So then they would no longer send envelopes to the people that are ACH. They've also offered what they call green pay, where they would take credit cards. But looking at their proposal on that, looks a little expensive, and I'm not sure we want to consider using them for credit card payments. The state has an e-pay system that we looked at a couple of months ago. It offers a much better deal to the village than what this green pay is. But the billing of the water department, I think, is something we really should consider.
Yeah, and just to tap on it, Steve, you said that they pointed out in their presentation that a lot of places for IDs or driver's license, other things, all you need is 2 pieces of identification, one of them being like a water bill with a name on it. So it would be, identity theft is definitely an issue that we have to look at. The other thing they pointed out, that they would, what they say, 3 to 4 sheets they'd be able to include in there at no cost other than the paper.
Well, it's the mailing weight of the envelope. They could include up to 3 more pieces of paper and still stay within the weight boundary of a first class mailing. So,
And
first class mailing at 45 cents bulk, I believe it is, we could still add 2 or 3 more pages to it. Of course, we pay for the paper, the printing. But it's another means of getting notices out to our residents.
Right, and they would also be willing to set up a water sewer bill set, and then for times where, and this goes to Tony, where we wanted to send out the stickers or other information we wanted to get to everybody, they'd have another list of residents in the village who were not getting water bills, and they'd mail that out in that mailing if we ever needed them to. So definitely something to look into.
I have a question.
Yes.
Would it give the resident the opportunity to pay online then as well, or no?
If we did the green pay, it would, but if you look at the proposal, I agree with Steve. It seems a little bit pricey for what we get out of it, and there were some other options, but I think we definitely need to get into that mode.
But the
Steve?
third millennium is just the mailing for the identity. We'd still have
They
to,
do both services. They do that, and then their payment system is called Green Pay. It's run by Third Millennium.
oh, I
So
see.
yes,
So that would be the additional fees.
But you
It's
can
two
look
different
into this, you could look into the state e-pay system, correct?
Right. We are looking into them. We're looking at the state e-pay, which seems to be a better deal than TMA's Green Pay.
But
Right.
they're two
That
separate
would
issues.
allow online payments, so,
But yeah,
yeah.
We can do use their print and mailing services, and we do not have to use the Green Pay. We could use,
Right.
just continue to do it the way we are, or use the state system or their system or otherwise. So
and
they're
we
two
can use their
separate
billing
bids.
system and use e-pay.
Well, I'm sure in favor of what I'm hearing here. It's time we move forward and update the office procedures. It sounds like it's
Well,
minimal cost.
yes, and they could also do electronic billing too. So for people that didn't want to get the paper bill, so if you had landlords that are out of state and they just want to get an email bill, they'd have a system where they could log into and some other things. So yes. So we should have the finance committee at their next meeting, take a look at that and give a recommendation or make sure that it.
Tom, you have a question?
I'd like to see side by side what it's costing us now to get these bills out and what this is gonna cost us.
Right, and that'd be the recommendation of the finance committee. So Steve, can you forward this to the finance committee for the recommendation?
Everything.
Okay, and the other issue why we got Jeff Steele on, we had another water main break on Hillcrest down by Hillcrest Parkway. I believe Kyle said that's number 10 or number 8 since he's been back. The water main break is $8,000 plus water. So I know Jeff Steele, do you know the condition of that water main that goes from along Hillcrest and then down Thoroughbred to Bullfrog? 'Cause I believe that's one of the ones that you said desperately needs to be replaced, correct?
Yeah, I mean, there's certain sections that are okay in that area, but knock on wood, I'm only saying that just because we haven't seen any, but there are certain areas where it's just constantly breaking. The same up by the pool area there's definitely certain sections that are worse than others, and it'd be on top of the list as far as if any replacements were going to happen.
So we're gonna have to start looking into that because Kyle, I believe, didn't you say this one was literally right next to another patch?
Yeah, it was like 1.5 feet away from another clamp, and then 20 feet away from another one, and then you can go on all day for it.
Yeah, it's just
But part of the issue there is the soil itself it's peat moss, so it's an old main and it's gonna only get worse. But you put a new main in, you'll probably get 20-25 years out of it, and then start having the same problems again if it's not wrapped in plastic. But even then, when you dig a hole down there, the ground shakes when cars go by. So definitely have vibration problems.
And that's also the same section that goes along down by Thoroughbred where it's 3 feet deep, if that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like 3.5 feet deep.
So something to start considering in the near future. We got more water mains we need to replace. So that's all I have unless there's any questions.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Police and public safety, Steve?
You'll see in your packet, the chief provided us a quote that came in from Dundee Ford for an extended warranty on our new police interceptor. It's a proposal for an 8-year, 100,000-mile bumper-to-bumper warranty. Additional cost is $2,850. According to the chief's note here, a little more expensive than it was originally. I guess my question is, I know we're covered right now, and with our budgetary constraints, do we want to hold off on this, considering that we know that, they're still offering me a warranty on a car I don't even own anymore. So, we know they'll continue to offer us those extended warranties. But just wanted to put it out there for discussion for everybody to see what everyone's thoughts were on that. And Chief, if you have any thoughts as well.
I had absolutely no problem with it, pushing this down the road some. As you said, the warranty was asking for an 8-year, 100,000 mile bumper to bumper for the cost you had stated, which comes to about $29 a month for the lifespan of the warranty. But we can revisit it even a year from now, 2 years from now, and just see if what our vendor would be willing to work with us for.
Yeah.
Those extended warranties are totally negotiable.
Right. And if you, like you said, we can even push it. Yeah. Because I think my thought is we push it down the road for a while, and we're covered now. So that's the main purpose. And we, keep an eye on it and take a look at it maybe next year.
Sounds good to me.
All right, okay.
All right. So we'll just table that until next year and look at it again. The other thing you'll see, I see there's an ordinance to sell some surplus property of a Venom motorbike. So I guess we need a motion. I would like to make a motion that we put up for sale and authorize the sale of surplus property under number 202-13. For the
Actually, it's
sale
gonna
of,
be 2020-13. There's a typo.
okay, I'm sorry, I'll amend that. Number 2020-13.
A second.
Okay, moved by Diatley, seconded by Moreno. Ordinance number 2020-13, an ordinance authorizing the sale of surplus personal property, to wit, a Venom motorcycle or motorbike. Okay, any other comments, questions, or discussion?
How will the mechanics of that work? How's it going to be advertised, or is this open to anybody?
Oh, we're going to try and make this open as much as possible. We're going to figure out whether it's going to be eBay or we're going to put it on maybe a couple of the social media sites. We haven't figured that part out, but at least we know a ballpark of what the motorcycle in itself is worth. We've done some research on it.
Chief, you can't hear?
I can't hear him or
Can you say what that is?
Thank you.
Yes. On the value of it, it ballparks for about $1,700.
Sounds like Ed's looking for a new ride.
I know somebody looking for one. I'll just mention it to him. My wife will look good on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Motion and seconded. Any further comments or discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Mr. Diatley,
Aye.
Mr. Harney,
Aye.
Mr. Merkel,
Aye.
Mr. Nimitz,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno.
Aye.
And with 5 votes in the affirmative, the motion passes. Okay. Anything else, Steve?
I don't have anything. Chief, you have anything to add?
I do not.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Building and environment,
No report.
no report. Thank you, Tom. Building and zoning. Anthony?
I know that on the agenda, it says the monthly code enforcement summary report. I've had no personal conversation with Mr. Fleck regarding this report. It's nice to see that one was generated. I'd like to find out why we only have one for July and not for previous months. So I need to follow up on that. But I was not contacted or asked to review any of this prior to seeing it in the packet. Chief, do you have any comment towards that report?
I do not. He just submits it for the packet. We discuss any things that might be of concern that might get a little bit further than the normal process that he deals with, whether it's a notice to comply or something that may be going to court.
Okay. The other thing I had was just a brief update. I know a few meetings ago, I discussed, the property on Stevens Court And actually, in the last week or two, there's actually 2 parcels for sale on Stevens Court. Both of them have had some activity with real estate agents and potential buyers of these 2 lots to ultimately, I guess, build houses. So it was good to see that there's some activity on our street with those 2 empty lots. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Anthony.
You're welcome.
Okay, old business. Any old business to come before the board? There's no old business to come before the board. New business. Okay, review of miscellaneous village fees. It was a project in progress. Mr. Schuster, it's still an item in progress?
Yes, the last thing, last communication I had from you, Mr. President, was that you had identified a 2017 list, and it was under review with the village financial consultant as to its completeness.
Correct.
So I'm just looking for some comment on that, and then I'm going to talk to Mr. Nemec to make sure that we've picked up. I know, Joe, we've added or changed a couple of the different water-related charges. We have to make sure those make the list and are accurate. And then the point of all of this is simply that at least once a year, it seems to me during the budget process, the finance committee and the board ought to be aware of what these fees are and take a look at them and just decide if they are current, if they need adjustment, if they're no longer relevant, all those things, so that you've got a current master list of what the village charges for various services and products. But we're just trying to make sure we're up to date on all that.
Okay. Okay, so that's where we stand on that. Service club issues.
Yeah, I brought this up just to put it on the radar. And I know the burn pile looks like it is open, so I'm not sure if that's something that the village is gonna let everybody put stuff in there. Does that allow then for a potential bonfire for Halloween? And has the village discussed anything with actually having a Halloween trick or treat this year?
Okay, on the burn pile, I forgot to put that under my report earlier. After the storm in August, we've got numerous requests from residents about disposing of yard waste, tree limbs and whatnot from the storm. Talking with Kyle, he had no problem with us opening the burn pile at this point and allowing the residents to contribute to that possible bonfire, which nobody had decided on yet.
Right.
But so we went ahead and took the fence down and opened up the burn pile, and we will leave that until the weekend before Halloween because of the timing. I believe Halloween's on a Saturday this year, isn't it?
Yes, I believe it is.
Yeah. So we'd be the Saturday before if the service club has a trick or treat or has a Halloween in the Hollow celebration. And I just got this hands up from Mr. Florence of the service club.
Yeah,
They haven't made their decision yet.
Right, I just wanted to bring it up so that
on the 4th of July or on the Halloween celebration at this point. So we don't know whether we'll have the bonfire or not. There's always a possibility that Public Works could just burn it some day during the week too. So the next item is trick or treat. Are we still too far out to make a determination on trick or treat hours? Or should we just say, hey, this is the parents' decision to whether or not they want to go trick or treating and whether or not we want to, say anything about when and where?
Yeah, my objective was just to put it on on the agenda. So we can certainly talk about it at the next meeting if something were to change regionally, or, you know, neighboring villages or municipalities. So we can push it off till next time.
Kiddo,
That's all I had.
okay. Next item is executive session for personnel under section 2C of the Open Meetings Act.
You need a motion to adjourn.
I need a motion to adjourn to executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Merkel, seconded by Diatley. Roll call, please.
Mr. Netley,
Aye.
Mr. Harney,
Aye.
Mr. Merkel,
All right.
Mr. Nimitz,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno,
Aye.
motion passes.
5 unanimous affirmative votes. The motion so passes. We are adjourning to executive session.
You have to hold it in. I have to go get the other recording.
Run and get a drink.
Well,
Okay, we'll take and we'll resume at a later time.
all
After.
right, Mr. President, do we have a separate login for this, or are you just?
No, just stay where you are. We're shutting everybody else out.
All right. All right, so Mr. Florence is in charge, okay.
Mr.
Hey,
Flores.
Mark, don't we have to say when we're gonna be back in case residents or how when we come out of
we
this?
should.
It says meeting will resume after executive session.
The regular meeting will resume.
Yes.
All right, but there's no action item listed for anything that comes out of this session.
The fiscal year 2021 budget approval.
All right,
And part of the budget is the salaries, which puts me in a rough spot.
where's the budget approval?
Oh,
Under finance.
Okay,